Can I ask you? I know you mentioned life is time, and I want to ask you a little bit more of a philosophical question, which might sound a little bit counterintuitive to time management. They say you should live in the moment. They should. They say live in the moment. Don't worry too much. Don't plan too much. Just enjoy what you have right now because this is what you have. How does that go with time management?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because happiness is in the present, isn't it? And
Yes.
and most negative emotions tend to be in the past or the future. So the past is like regret and guilt and all
Mm-hmm.
that, and perhaps sorrow. And the future has things like worry and fear and and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And whereas happiness is just in the present.
Yeah.
And and so it's true. If we want to maximize our happiness, which is the most important thing, that's the point of everything, really. Why do anything if it doesn't make you happy? um, then we do need to live in the present. But
Mm.
unfortunately, we have to do a certain amount of the past and the future. I actually think you can absolutely minimize the past because it's gone and you can't change it. And there's
You
no
cannot
point
change
in
it.
harking back to the past.
Okay.
Um, you can learn from the past, of
Mm-hmm.
course, but that's all. But I think the main dilemma of time management is the present and the future and how we
Mm.
split the time between the present and the future in order to maximize our happiness.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to write some little numbers up here because
Of
I think
course.
if you look at the present and the future and how much fun you have in these, right? If you go for 100% fun in the present, then the problem is the future will probably be zero
Mm.
because you'll run out of money and you won't have planned ahead. And in fact, there was this guy who got a letter from the National Health Service and it said, we're really, really sorry, but you've got a terrible illness and you've only got 6 months to live. This is true story. And he what did he do with 6 months left to live? Most of his money to his friends, and he told his boss that he was leaving his job and he didn't bother to maintain his car or anything because he only had 6 months left to live. And then after about 3 months, he got this letter from the National Health Service saying, we're really sorry, but we made a mistake and we got your blood mixed up with somebody else's or something, and you're fine. You're going to be fine. And he was like, no, I've given away all my money and I've resigned my job. And he's trying to sue the National Health Service because he's got a life he didn't expect to have.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really interesting because you can't live just for the present and disregard the future. Unless you've got 6 months to live, then okay.
Mm.
But for the
Mm.
rest of us, we might live for another 50 years or something. So we have to
True.
plan ahead. You have to put money into your pension and all that sort of thing, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very dangerous to only live for the present. And you will have
Okay.
fun for a short time, but it's not sustainable.
Okay.
So another option that I would propose, and this is really time management, is that if you have, let's say, and this is how much fun we're having, remember, if you have, let's say, 30% fun now, so you have, reasonable, a bit of fun now,
Mm-hmm.
then in the future, you might be able to have 80% because, you might be able to achieve more, which will be great, but also you'll be able to achieve some of your enjoyment goals. And then when you retire, you might be able to retire a bit early and you might be able to have a really great life when you retire. But even before you retire, your life should improve if you're doing the things that may be a little bit difficult now. So that 70% of not fun should pay off in terms of having more fun in the future. One
More.
more number I want to put on here, which is, what if you go for 100? What if you go for 0% fun now, in order to absolutely maximize the future, and you just work really hard? You're totally focused, no time for fun. But I think the risk is that the future may never come.
Yeah.
And even if it was 100%, you've still had less fun than if you're doing what I'm recommending of 30 plus 80. And of course, quite possibly you'll just work and work and work. So I have friends who do really demanding jobs and they say, oh, it's going to be okay because one day I'll retire and I'll be rich by then. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you're using up your
How do
whole
you know?
life. And how do
Yeah.
you know you're ever going to get there? You
Yeah.
know? And what if they don't sell their company off for millions and they end up not achieving it? That would be terrible. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, 30, maybe 50% fun, or 60 or 70 even now, and then even more in the future. So I think time management is about getting that balance and having
Good balance.
fun now and more fun in the future.